Hello and welcome to Das German Kritic. Well, hey, außer mir macht's ja keiner. And today we're going to take a look at another Krimi episode entitled Missbraucht, Abused. What's it about? Incest. Because incest is wincest. Now, originally, I was going to review Season 5, Episode 1, called Chatgeflüster, Chat Whispering, which deals with issues like cyber grooming and online pedophilia. Yet, with Netzangriff, we already had a cyber-themed episode, and hey, there are some people out there that are even less qualified to talk about this stuff than I am. So, with all that said, let's take a look at Season 8, Episode 1, Missbraucht, Abused. But before we even begin, I just have to point out how eerily similar the plot of this episode is to the arc of Teresa Palmer's and Frank Sweet's characters in 237. Why am I pointing this out? Simple. I don't want to have to point it out all throughout this review. So the episode begins with our lead, Konrad Lange, Conny for short, played by Konstantin von der Decken, fucking up his driving lessons once again. Now, this might just be a minor little complaint, but doesn't Conny look a little bit too old to be 17? Maybe it's just me. In this scene, we're also introduced to his driving teacher, Herr Schmidtke, played by Hannes Hellmann, his younger daughter, Fee, played by Marlene Blake, his son, Alex, played by Alexander Marchewski, as well as the older sister, Selina, played by Leonie Tenius, who is also Connie's love interest. And since he totally has the hots for her, he manages to gather up all his courage and ask her out for ice cream. At first she's hesitant, but then she agrees. And this hesitance concerning everything she does and everyone she meets outside of the family is a consistent trait within the entire episode. For example, in this scene, where she's playing on Connie's percussions, and when he tries to get close to her by teaching her how to actually play, she jerks her hand away. Or this scene, when her family is having lunch and her dad asks her how the latest math test went. She doesn't even react at first, being so occupied with this other mysterious thing that we're not told about yet. But yeah, I think you can get that just by looking at the title of this episode. Cut to Connie's birthday party, where we're introduced to Chief Inspector Meininger, played by Dominik Horwitz, together with his unaccredited wife, or girlfriend, or fuck buddy. Yeah, it's not really explained very well who she is exactly. At least not in this episode anyway. Since she was invited, Selina also shows up, but leaves rather soon. According to her, it's because she told her parents she was going to a movie with a friend. And unless it's something like Dances with Wolves or, I don't know, Transformers 2 to 4, you might want to stay in that 2-hour time frame. Connie then tries an awkward attempt at kissing her goodbye, but, as usual, Selina blocks any further advances by him. The next day, Conny wants to give Selina a letter he wrote the night before. Yet, when he gets to the Schmidtke's house, he meets Alex, who promises to give the letter to Selina, who, quote-unquote, isn't home. Of course, Selina is at home. Which brings us to one of the more creepier scenes in the episode. What happens? Alex forces Selina to read the letter out loud to him. Now, by this point, it's pretty clear what's going on and that Alex is abusing his sister in some way or another. Yet, I do still have to give credit to Tenius and Marchewski for giving quite a chilling performance. even as an adult watching this.
So then, Selina decides to leave Faye all alone in the house with no supervision in order to go swimming with Conny.
But, sadly, that doesn't turn out as well as she'd hoped. Not only do the two encounter what I assume to be Connie's ex, but when the two try to get close again, Selina again backs away. Of course, this repetitive behavior has made Conny suspicious, and thus he asks Meininger about this. Listening to Conny's description, Meininger gets a hunch as to what it is. His suspicion? Abuse.
Hast du denn schon mal versucht, sie zu küssen?
Ja, klar.
Ja und?
Sie hat total verkrampft. Ist versteinert. Wie abgetaucht. Es war fast so, als wäre sie nicht mehr da. Was denken Sie?
Ich habe sowas in der Art nur im Zusammenhang mit Missbrauch gehört. Ich weiß, mit solchen Mutmaßungen muss man vorsichtig sein. Ich meine, sowas kann 1000 Gründe haben.
Now, sure, this may well be just plot contrivance because, just as I said in Netzangriff, they only have 45 minutes to flesh all this out, and they want to get their story through rather quickly. But, on the other hand, the character of Meininger does have decades of experience working as a police officer, and thus I assume that someone like him might be able to pinpoint Selina's reactions a bit more accurately than a layman would.
Given this information, Conny goes to see Selina again, but runs into her brother. Again. Conny talks to Alex about his sister's weird behavior, to which Alex, in an obvious attempt to keep away any suspicions from him, remarks that Selina is a pathological liar and always has been. Scared that his actions may come to light, Alex rushes into the house to confront Selina about it. He tells her to stop seeing Conny, yet for the first time in this episode, Selina does the right thing.
Dieser Blödmann war schon wieder hier. Ich will, dass es aufhört. Ich will ihn nicht mehr sehen.
Das ist meine Sache, das geht dich gar nichts an.
Ach ja?
Ich kann mich treffen, mit wem ich will.
And the end of it? Alex beats her, after which Selina runs off to Conny, who makes the obvious suggestion, going straight to Meininger about it. Yet, due to her conditioning, Selina rejects this proposition. But after having to expose her black eye in front of her family at dinner, Selina finally writes an SMS to Conny a few hours later.
Or maybe it's next day. Yeah, they don't make it all that clear.
And, again, we have a scene we've seen at least twice now. Conny arrives at the Schmidtke's house, only to be stopped again by Alex. This time, however, things take a little turn.
Schwester braucht Hilfe. Meine Sache. Ich kümmere mich um sie.
Klar, hat man ja gemerkt. Und warum läuft sie da mit einem blauen Auge rum?
Sie hat sie gestoßen.
Du warst das. Von wegen Selina erzählt Geschichten. Du Schwein!
Now, the obvious reaction to this would be, no shit, Sherlock! But, remember one thing. It's only we, the audience, that have seen all those scenes with Selina and her brother. As far as Conny is concerned, he's completely ignorant of what's going on between the two.
Conny thus goes straight to Meininger and angrily declares he wants Alex arrested for domestic abuse. Meininger, of course, counters that he can't do that unless Conny has sufficient evidence to back up his assertion. But since Meininger isn't a complete asshole, he and Conny go and talk to Frau Becker, played by Eva Blum, at an abuse help center. However, Conny's hope is dampened by Frau Becker telling him that, due to her conditioning, Selina won't testify and or act against her own family. Meininger suggests Frau Becker talk to Selina in private. Conny and Meininger try to get Selina to agree to go to the abuse center, but due to her conditioning, Selina refuses. Yet, she does so for a very important reason. After seeing her brother creeping it up with Faye, Selina asks Alex to, quote-unquote, study math with her, which is essentially their euphemism for fondling time.
And again, I see myself in front of a fork in the road. On the one hand, I actually do credit the writers that they don't use something as cliched as studying biology or studying physics or hell, even studying sex ed or anything like that. But math? Really? That was the best thing that you could come up with? I mean, granted, it's a shit ton better than anything that I could come up with, but math? Really?
As said, Selina asks her brother to, quote-unquote, study math with her, and the two go into a room and her bed.
And in my opinion, this is one of the creepiest, if not the creepiest scene in this entire episode. Now, sure, they cut away before you see what actually happens, but I think that's supposed to be kind of the point.
You know how in some horror films, the terror and horror comes from what you don't see and what's merely implied, rather than some cheap jump scare.
And again, I just have to point out how similar Alex and Selina's plot is to Marcus and Melody's plot from 237. Which, yeah, I have an idea. Wait a minute, let me just IMDb something here.
Okay, so did the makers of this episode watch 237 and then decide that the plot about sister rape was what they were going to use for this episode?
Now, as said, we're never actually shown what Alex actually does to her, but for the sake of this review, I'm just going to show you this and this.
Unknown to Alex, though, Selina has filmed the entire ordeal, and after Alex leaves, she finally decides to call the police. Unfortunately, she gets interrupted by her mother, played by Julia Jäger.
Hallo Conny, hier ist Selina.
Das Essen ist fertig. Kommst du?
Du kennst doch jemanden bei der Polizei. Ich muss mit ihm reden. Okay.
Polizei? Was ist denn los?
Das weißt du ganz genau.
Why did I wait till now to credit her? Simple, because that is the only scene where she's in it for more than 5 seconds.
After Selina sent the video to whom I presume is Conny, who sent it directly to Meininger, as well as a few other officers, immediately drive to the Schmidtke's house, where Alex is finally arrested.
So this was Krimi.de Missbraucht. And again, I have to stress that this is a kid show we're watching. A kid show that doesn't shy away from the fact that it admits that domestic abuse, incest, cyber stalking, cyber grooming, all that horrible stuff actually exists.
The acting was good, except for Marchevsky, who, in my opinion, does a fantastic job in portraying creepy Mick's sister fondler. Every scene he and Tinius have is creepy as fuck to watch, even for me as an adult. And I can only imagine what kind of impact those scenes must have on the actual demographic. If I had to pick the one thing I didn't like about Missbraucht, then it's the same thing I really didn't like about Netzangriff either. And that's the overbearing, chauvinist, sexist, jock-style father. In this episode, though, it's even cringier than in Netzangriff.
Which immediately prompts me to ask, is that a trope? I mean, the overbearing, non-understanding, strict father figure that we've both been presented in both Netzangriff and Missbraucht. Does that kind of father figure appear in every Krimi-D episode? And what's even more important to ask, can we make a drinking game out of that? So this, finally, is the last review in our lineup of children's movies. And yeah, I hope you guys out there had as much fun watching it as I had making them. Now, sure, yeah, sorry for some of the delays, but when you're working more than 8 hours a day, yeah, you don't actually have that much free time. So, thank you all for watching, and the next episode, yes, finally, the big 25, the big milestone of this show. Now, I'm not gonna promise or say all that much about what movie it is. Now, it is going to be a movie, and it is going to be a single review. It's not going to be a trilogy or anything. Oh, don't worry. I have a lot of trilogies, on my list of things to do, things to review, but it will be one movie. It is a very popular movie made by based off a very popular German artist, and before I spoil too much, all I'm just going to put out here is, concerning the lead character, if you're under 14 in this country, you can literally pretty much get away with anything, since you can only be charged with a crime if you're 14 or older. So, this was Das German Kritic, and have fun with the Big 25. Goodbye.
Na, was ist? Keine Wunderkerzen?